All right, so, how did I get turned on to this issue? I mean, I knew about genetic engineering for, like everyone, kind of vaguely. It sounded, maybe I was cautiously optimistic about the technology. I was like, vitamins in food and, I don't know, drought-tolerant crops. It sounds like kind of okay. But what really woke me up was about 4 years ago when the pesticide industry was railroading through Roundup-ready alfalfa. And for me, I was like, wait, what? Genetically engineering resistance to a weed killer on alfalfa? I mean, you don't spray weed killer on alfalfa. And what the hell? Like, genetic engineering is about resistance to weed killer, and that was the wake-up call for me. It was like, holy crap, this is a pesticide industry boondoggle. And, this is not about feeding the world or any of that. This is about engineering resistance to chemicals so chemical companies can profit. And actually, I have an interesting family history, too, because Dr. Bronner actually used to make food products that were soy-based. And in '98, when I took over the company, all of a sudden the soy is genetically engineered, and at that time they were refusing to segregate the non-GMO from the GMO soy. So we actually had to discontinue our line of food products, which at the time was like 10% of our business. It's just the arrogance of this industry, the denial of a basic right to information that as Americans we all have, and spending tens of millions of dollars to keep us in the dark. I think something to really emphasize too is when you generate a plant and you engineer a plant to tolerate weed killer, this isn't some kind of magical property that's conferred on the plant. They're actually taking a gene from bacteria, putting it into this crop, and that gene is putting a protein into the food that has never appeared in that food before. This is novel, new compounds in our food. In every cell of this plant, you're getting this new protein. And this protein has not been tested, has not gone through extensive human, trials to establish long-term safety. There's something wrong with our food. And the fact that you have these proteins being expressed inside these genetically engineered crops that we've never eaten before. And then two, what are they doing? Oh, so we can blast more weed killer, so now we're eating more weed killer in our food. Well, this isn't good, right? So clearly this is, having an impact. And, can you draw a super strong causal relationship between, this particular crop and a particular health problem? It's difficult because all of these chemical exposures add up in an aggregate. But as a society, we need to, we need to figure out where we exposing ourselves to chemicals we don't need to and stop doing it. And we do not need to be exposing ourselves to more and more weed killer residues in our food. As a company, we are very mission driven. My grandfather founded our company as a nonprofit religious organization and dedicated his profits to the causes he believed in. And we're continuing to do that today, and we're very passionate advocates of sustainable, organic, fair trade agriculture. And what we're very concerned about with genetic engineering is that rather than helping farmers move to a more sustainable, less chemical intensive way of farming, it's just making them more and more dependent on the chemical treadmill. And this this reliance on petrochemicals is killing the soil. It's polluting our waters, polluting our bodies. Huge dead zones in the ocean. Just from the synthetic fertilizers. We cannot be dumping this amount of chemicals on our land year after year after year. Just simple economics. This is not sustainable. Genetic engineering is just for us like the worst example of the industrial chemical ag model that has basically taken over agriculture in this country. We kind of bought the line that, genetic engineering is going to reduce reliance on chemicals, but, pesticide use has exploded. This issue went from kind of a low issue to the top of the list when I just, realized, like, wow, the chemical industry has bought the seed industry in this country and is engineering resistance to weed killer. And that's what genetic engineering is about. Just given my granddad's history and precedent of activism on issues like this, the fact that we're very passionate advocates of sustainable organic agriculture, whether we like it or not, all of us could soon not even be able to make the choice because, the genes have disinfected everywhere, genetic trespass. For us, we just really feel like if we don't stand up and win the right to know if a food has been genetically engineered, every single crop, every single fruit and vegetable and animal is going to be genetically engineered. I'm really proud of and psyched to support the grassroots movement here in Washington State. Putting a an initiative on the ballot is no joke, and they gathered 350,000 signatures to do that. And it just shows how wide and deep and broad the support is here. We're, just excited to stand with and support the people of Washington. 522 is a very simple, straightforward labeling law. It's exactly like what 64 other countries already have. We feel like if enough people donate, if enough people sign up and volunteer, that we can punch through in a way that, unfortunately we did not in California. And the lesson from California is like we did not have enough money to go up toe-to-toe with them when their onslaught of lies started. And if you look at when our ads started to go up and started communicating with voters, it was 10 days before election. We actually won on election day, 52-48% in California. But all the absentee ballots cast before that time, when there was just an unanswered barrage of lies. Like, it's the adage that if you hear a lie 1,000 times and you never hear the truth once, well, people got confused. So, we like how Washington is just really, I feel like, much more organized. They've got a lot more money in a lot earlier. So, we really like the chances of 522 passing. We're doing everything we can to raise awareness. We actually have transformed our court label into a special 522 information educational campaign piece, just to really communicate with people everywhere in the country, not just Washington, that this fight here in Washington could make or break the movement to label nationally. Like, once we get Washington, that's just going to pave the way for states around the country to label. If you look at Maine, Connecticut, they've already passed labeling laws, but they need 5 other states to pass. Washington, there's no such contingency. It's just a straight, it's an up or down vote. We win, we win. And there's labeling, and once we have labeling, everyone else is going to get labeling. Our opposition understands what's at stake. We know they're going to put $20 million at least into this thing. We just want to see everyone just step up, get educated, get fired up, and sign up, volunteer, donate.
They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes while you weren't looking. Your dinner was disguised. You won't see it mentioned in the supermarket aisle. It's hiding in the boxes where the GMOs are piled. You've got a right